It's daybreak on Arise News. Time for the press preview. A first look at what's in the front pages as they arrive. Let's begin with our sister publication This Day. It's leading with NNPC's celebration. It says, we raised crude oil production from 900 barrels per day to 1.6 million barrels per day. It's clarifying that 70% of illegal refineries have been deactivated. And on the front page, there's the chairman of This Day Arise Group, Prince Nduka Wabena, and the Liberian leaders. He played host to them. The UK says we have no preferred presidential candidate in Nigeria. Airtel wins 5G license. And fallout of Naira redesign. Analysts back CBN's cash withdrawal policy.
Let's take a look at the Punch this morning, leading with that cash withdrawal limit. Senate grills CBN chiefs tomorrow. POS operators get waiver to pay processing fee. Central Bank deputy governors to face the National Assembly panel. And Senate debates policy next week. CBN also says no going back on new cashless policy. Those leading photos there, EFCC auctions forfeited cars once compliance with guidelines. One more headline here, just above the nameplate of the Punch. N-Power fraud, ICPC detains Dibanj as lawyer cries foul. More on that on page 4.
This is the Nation newspaper. Cash withdrawal limit policy. Senators, experts knock CBN. Well, the Senate faults the Apex Bank and it's fixed a debate for Tuesday. And the federal government to governors account for ecological funds. We'll wait for that. 2023 court validates Tinubu's candidacy. That's what page 4. On petrol scarcity to end soon. That's according to Ipman.
Similar headline on The Guardian Nigeria. CBN's cash withdrawal limits. Agents in uproar as Senate debates new policy on Tuesday.
The Daily Sun. Senate threatens zero budgets for villa and military. Police, INEC, 92 other agencies also. It differs debate on CBN's policy of 100,000 Naira withdrawal per week. Britain says it has no preferred presidential candidate. And court hits Ebonyi PDP hard, nullifies its primaries.
On the international scene this morning, let's begin with The Independent. The Independent, I am an MP, get me out of here. That's Matt Hancock will stand down at the next election to explore a world of possibility outside Parliament. And just below that, Angas Gove approves first coal mine in 30 years.
This is the Financial Times. Zero COVID controls loosened as evidence mounts of damage to trade. And Sunak vows new tough laws on strikes as airport staff plan Christmas walkout. That's going to happen on December the 23rd already. The nurses in England and Wales are set to down tools.
And for the press preview, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello, who joins us now. Emmanuel, good morning. Thanks for being here with us. Let's take a look at the leading headline on This Day this morning, talking about NNPC. Says how we raised crude oil production from 900,000 million barrels per day to 1.6 million barrels per day. And some writers there, it's clarifying that 70% of illegal refineries have now been deactivated. It's celebrating in that. And it also says Nigerians will be shocked to know those behind oil theft when they are exposed. Now that when, we've always had that question, when will these people be exposed? We've been waiting, and now NNPC saying Nigerians will definitely be shocked when we find out who those people are. Emmanuel.
Yeah, but I guess the shocker for many of us is that we don't. This naming and shaming hasn't happened so far, and that's a shock on its own too. That I mean, people were involved in this kind of monumental oil theft. I mean, but these are not even thieves. These are actually These are people that are actually trying to truncate the country or the union as it is. So it's beyond theft. Their action. It should be seen as some form of even of treason. So, but they are not named, and the NNPC keeps saying, "Look, if we know the people behind the big oil theft, we'll be shocked." A lot of people have said that, look, it's big business and that big names are involved. There's been even suspicions and some name, around the rumor cycle. But you need some official naming and shaming. That's what we don't see a lot in this country. Even whether it is with terror financing and all that, the other vices. The authorities always say that, look, we know the people behind this, we know the big names. The only thing they don't ever do is naming them, and that's part of the crisis. If we know the people in some countries, or where you have serious governance, or countries that are very serious, places where you have some form of seriousness in governance, in Kechi, these people will be named. They will not just be named, they will be arrested, and there will be some kind of prosecution. But the NNPC is beating its chest now, saying, look, we're already doing a lot. And I think the story is self-explanatory, that the oil sector is doing well, considering all that it's been put in place, deactivating those illegal refineries, and dealing with so many things. Seems to be a good, outlook for that sector, especially with the Dangote refinery coming on board soon. So you get the impression this morning reading this that, they're getting somewhere. The year started with a zero disband picture. Emmanuel Ade kept reporting on that, the theft, and we keep seeing those mind-boggling amounts that are taken out from the oil sector. But as we end the year, we are ending strong, it appears. And this story is suggesting that the oil sector is having a good outlook after all.
No, it might be having a good outlook, Emmanuel, but it's not translated to petrol in the pumps. There's still scarcity even in the federal capital.
Yes, in this story too, there's some kind of there's an attempt to explain that, because part of the problem, Kenneth, is that nobody is even telling us what's going on. You just wake up and you see those long queues. But now they're saying it's just it's not the crisis of availability, which should have worried all of us. Sixth largest producing oil producing country, or whatever is the number now, and yet we don't have it on to buy. But they are not saying that it's production. It's not production. It's not availability. It's just the distribution hiccups, like the story is putting. It's just blaming it on that. So what is the distribution hiccups? What's happening? Ipman will be saying something else. I think in another story, Ipman is actually even suggesting that it was. We are not going to end the year with this. But a lot of people are worried. Like you say, we need to see, the filling stations. You need to see these products there. It's a shame. It's embarrassing. It's disgraceful that we're still seeing these long queues, especially when they're becoming a recurrent, kind of thing with us, especially at the end of the year like this.
All right, Emmanuel Bello, still on this day, we have a story just above that of the NNPC. The UK saying we have no preferred presidential candidate in Nigeria. This comes after a closed-door meeting between the British High Commissioner and the National Working Committee of the APC. Emmanuel, what are your thoughts on this story?
Well, I was just looking at the story in Kejan. I was asking myself, were they actually supposed to have any preferred candidate in the first place?
They thought they had to mention it to journalists, because that was most of the questions being asked is, why are you having a closed-door meeting with the executives of the APC?
Well, they do that, like they stated in the story. It's routine. They meet people who are going to possibly become president someday, of the country. So it's a routine meeting, and the diplomatic cycle does that. They're showing greater concern. They listen to their manifesto. They listen to them. I think it's just all in a day's job for the embassies and the big concern. So really, it's not such a earth-shaking thing that they don't have a candidate in the race. I don't think they should have one. I think they should be pressing more for transparent elections, which they try to do, and they should be pressing more for elections that can actually withstand the test of best practices around the world. I think that's the kind of support we should be getting from the international community. And then, of course, their role as observers, who are supposed to really, fact check and look at the elections as best as they can, and give those kind of institutional support to the agencies that are going to, run this the election. So at the end of the day, that would be their best contribution, rather than having a preferred candidate. If the system is, transparent enough and it's effective, they'll also be happy with the outcome.
Emmanuel, Nigerians are still mulling over the latest CBN cash withdrawal policy. The Punch newspaper is saying Senate drills CBN chiefs tomorrow. This new policy, Emmanuel, people have things to say about it. Do you see the central bank walking back its decision?
At this point, I don't think so. I don't think there's going to be a walking back. I think what we're going to see is a doubling down, sort of, and the CBN will have to do more to educate, to help us to buy into all of this. Because if you look at the story right across all the newspapers today, basically that's what the papers are reporting. This policy has generated a lot of emotion because it goes straight to the heart of our lives, expenses, our spending power, and the way we spend. We have the three of us here. We're having a little debate before we came on air on this, and we're asking ourselves, how much do you really need to spend a week? Can you actually keep 100,000 with you? Nkechi, you were saying that some people must keep, who will have to keep more than that kind of amount if they're going to actually meet their demands or what they need to use cash for. So those are the sort of debates you have, not even at the big experts who are debating this, but ordinary people, the rest of us, like you and I, are talking about it every day. What's going to happen to us, and then what's this going to translate into? Will it strengthen the naira? The experts are saying it will do that, but certainly one thing it will do is that it will suck up all those monies from outside the informal or rather the formal sector, the monies that are just lying about, floating, and affecting the economy. Some are even saying that with scarcity of naira, the dollar will compete so favorably with it. The economists are talking, but the politicians actually, they had hit on this because it's all about vote buying in the first place. Remember that the redesigning of the naira was the issue of taking the monies out from the economy, from the public space, especially those who were keeping it to buy votes. And now they are talking too. Tomorrow we're going to have to watch and see that stormy session between CBN officials and senators when they debate this. But many of the senators saying that they have problem with this, that it's going to cause job loss, it's going to cause a serious shift in the economy, and that we are not prepared. They say it's good policy, but wrong timing.
All right, Emmanuel, another story on the Punch newspaper this morning, making the rounds on other national dailies as well, is a story of the ICPC, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, detaining the popular artist D'banj in regards to those fraud allegations focusing on NPower. We know that D'banj was one of the NPower ambassadors, and now he's been detained and being accused of some sort of fraud regarding that NPower program.
Yeah, I think it's a curious story because if you're a fan of D'banj and you listen to his songs and all of that, you begin to wonder what is the first reaction is that what is actually his connection with the NPower. Then you remember that yes, in 2016 or thereabouts, many of these artists were used for to promote the NPower thing and all of that. Just tells you how endemic the crisis of corruption is. That even in some climes you don't hear musicians of that standing getting involved in some of these rough things, but here it is, and it's curious. This picture yesterday making the rounds of him with officials of the ICPC, almost not you would think that it's some kind of role playing or it's being acted out, but it's real that a musician of that standing, people generally seen as models, as people that you want to look after. But of course, he's claiming nonsense and saying that look, he has no question in his hand to answer. His lawyers are already talking. So we'll see how that pans out. But it's curious that a musician on one hand, he's been found wanting in this manner. Some people are beginning to say that that's part of a larger problem where artists are actually involved in a lot of other shady deals, and that their proceeds is not coming just from their talents, but from other kind of activities. Maybe this will open that discussion in that direction. But for now, it's an interesting story that we must stay glued to see how it ends.
Talk to us about the new Netflix documentary on the Queen, Emmanuel.
Well, it's coming out tomorrow. We learned, and a lot of people are already worried that one of the UK papers there was a plea that the Queen should not be, the memory of the Queen should not be desecrated, and she shouldn't be embarrassed. We don't know what is in the documentary, but it looks like a tell-it-all kind of thing, and a lot of people will be glued to see what will be said. Maybe there are things about the past, the Queen's past, the story of the drama around the royal family itself. I think all of that will be ingrained in that, and it just tells you that the Queen, whether it's in life or in death, the stature of her, her size, her history, her place in all of this has not been diminished, and so this will bring to the fore a whole lot of issues around the royal dramas that I think we had to contend with throughout, whether it's those of the princes themselves or the Queen or the story of their mother and all of that. This documentary will be a must-watch for a whole lot of people.
Thank you so much, Manuel Bello. That's the press preview. Let's hear your view on other burning issues. Follow us on Twitter at Arise TV. You can join today's conversation using the hashtag Arise Daybreak.